when I sort of, look at that stat right up against 62% of men, right, under 30 not trying to date, what's happening? What are they doing? I mean, I have a 20-year-old and I have a 17-year-old, and Jonathan has a 17-year-old. So we're in Boys Town here, but there's something that's happening between 20 and 30, I think, that we'd love your assistance with. Like, it used to be the thing to do. I mean, it also used to be the thing to do to get a driver's license to get the hell out of your house. Now my children just want to watch me cook dinner while they scroll on their phones. Something is changing, but what's changing more disproportionately for men, that they do not have a desire to pursue the opposite sex or the same sex, any kind of dating?
Well, so it's multidimensional, but the first is just purely biological, and that is men mature later. And what's weird is it appears that the gap in maturity is actually broadening. And a boy's prefrontal cortex is 18 months behind a girl's. So a senior, two seniors in high school applying to college, a girl is basically competing against a 10th grade. 7 in 10 high school valedictorians are girls. NYU, I can tell you in some graduate schools, if we were totally admissions blind, it would not only be 70% female or 80% female, it'd be 50% Asian female, because the Asian community has done such an outstanding job of preparing their kids for school. But look at K through 12. And I've said this to some pushback. I think it's bias against boys. Look at the behaviors we promote or encourage in primary school. Sit still, be a pleaser, be organized, raise your hand. Mm-hmm. You just described a girl. And boys have better gross motor skills. They're faster and stronger. Girls have greater fine motor skills. Their hands, their oral skills, asking questions. What do we ask kids to do in school? We ask them to push a pencil and ask and answer questions. But the biggest things, a lot of the on-ramps to economic viability for a boy that doesn't go to college have been eliminated. We've outsourced a lot of our manufacturing. Remember wood, auto, and metal shop? Those have gone away. We're all hoping that our kid learns Mandarin and takes computer science and ends up a good. 2/3 of our kids do not end up with traditional liberal arts college degrees. And this has been especially hard on young men. In addition, the digitization of the mating market, whenever you digitize a market, it becomes a winner-take-most environment. So you digitize retail and 50% of all e-commerce goes to Amazon. You digitize connections and information, and 2/3 and 90% of all connections or online connections and search goes to Meta and Alphabet, respectively. When you digitize the mating market, people used to meet through friends, through work, through school. Now they primarily meet online. When you digitize the mating market, you end up in the following environment: 50 men on Tinder, 50 women. 46 of the women will show all of their attention to the same 4 men, which leaves 46 men fighting over 4 women. Discourages men. Unfortunately, they have a very seductive, godlike technology telling them they can have a reasonable facsimile of life online. Why go through the effort of having friends when you have Discord and Reddit? Why put on a tie and try and get a job when you can make money trading crypto or stocks on Robinhood or Coinbase? And why would you go through the effort of looking good, smelling nice, the expense, the resilience, the potential rejection, maybe risking being that guy or creeping somebody out when you see everything? Just a survey done online of what are the least about going out in quote unquote singles environments. And on the same list in the top 5 were men never approach. So on the same list, creeps approach. As a dude, how do you interpret that?
That was my experience as a human being.
There are 3 women in the studio all nodding.
Yeah.
To which part? Men don't approach me or creeps approach me?
Both.
Because here's the problem. Creep is based on the perceived attractiveness of the person making the approach. Brad Pitt has never been accused of being creepy.
Eliza Schlesinger says it's only sexual harassment if he's not attractive and you're not into him.
HR hates to hear this. 1/3 of relationships begin. And by the way, 99% of those are consensual. I've been to 12 weddings with people who were at my work, and I'm like, I had no idea they were sleeping together. And you know what? It's a mitzvah. And the vast majority of people, even when it doesn't work out, figure it out. And if you don't know the difference between harassing someone and expressing interest and asking them out for coffee, you have bigger problems. So there's sociological problems, there's economic issues, there's mixed messaging from quote unquote the market. And also, I think there's a whole, unfortunately, I hate the incel movement because what I coach young men, I think the majority of people who would self-categorize themselves as incels, and that is they're voluntarily self. I say to them is the following: I hate the term incel. When I was in high school and I, went through puberty, I thought, I just want more than anything, I want a girlfriend. I thought I'd be such a good boyfriend. And also, I was starting to get really horny, quite frankly. And I thought, gosh, I'd really like to be physical with a willing partner, right? That would be really nice for me. And it didn't happen. I wasn't. And so what I did was I worked on myself. I worked out. I tried to get into clothes. I made female friends. I thought if I'm around women, I'll feel safer and I'll start to figure it out. I went to UCLA. And then I was a late bloomer. I didn't have a girlfriend until I was 19. But what I say to these young men is bullshit. You're voluntarily celibate. You're going to work on yourself. And if you really want to be in a relationship with a woman, a romantic and a physical relationship, you need to demonstrate excellence. You need to work on yourself. You need to have a plan. You need to have a kindness practice. And there are a lot of women out there that are not your enemy. They're on your side, and they would like to find a nice guy who notices their life, who makes an effort, who maybe texts and follows up. I mean, so I hate the term. I think it's a cop. And I think, unfortunately, online, these communities have risen up that says, give up and start blaming immigrants for your economic problems and start blaming women for your romantic problems. So, I mean, just getting to solutions, the first solution is young men need to level up. Yeah, it's harder for you than it was for me. I'll give you that for a lot of reasons. But you still have agency in the marketplace, in the corporate world, and in the mating market. The bar might be a little bit hot. You can get there, and don't just pull the plug and say, oh, I'm an incel. That is giving up.